Hi everyone, I'm Meredith and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so excited that you found me, and if you're returning, I'm so grateful you've decided to come back and watch more. I love all things luxury. I love luxury shoes, I love luxury handbags, luxury lifestyle and vlogging, and if they're things that appeal to you, I hope you'll do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button down below. Hitting that subscribe button is absolutely free for you, but means an awful lot to me, so if you could help me out, I would really appreciate it. Today I'm doing a video around, has luxury become a job? So let's just start with some basics here. So yes, I understand it's a first world problem. It's such a first world problem. It's a ridiculous problem. I understand that. I really do. And I understand that this topic might be really triggering for some people and you think that I am just super entitled. I get that. And there will be people who argue I only feel like this because of the amount that I buy and the amount that I consume. But I argue actually this applies to even someone who just has one dream bag, that it can be incredibly hard work to just secure that one dream bag for a lot of people. So let's look at how things have changed in the luxury market over the last 20 years. I've been shopping luxury for 22 years. So let's look at how things have changed over that time and how it now can feel very much like a job all of its own. So years ago, back in the dark ages when I was young, you used to just see bags in magazines and then you'd go into store and you would find said bag, buy said bag, and off you went. Of course, there were always exceptions to those rules because magazines came out monthly in most cases. Sometimes by the time you saw it and made it into store, those releases had been out for 6 weeks and some things would sell out. So that's always been the case. There's always been exclusivity with these bags or pieces or whatever it is that you're looking for. But I remember going to Hermes in Sydney when they were in their original store in Sydney, which is now about where Gucci is in Westfields if you live in Sydney. And I remember I had seen Hermes in Vogue and they were talking about the riding boots and the rise of the Birkin and the Kelly, and I went into the store just randomly. There was nobody in there. I was the only person in there, and I went up to the woman who was standing behind the counter, because they had a counter, and I asked her if she had any bags, and she bought out a Kelly 28 in orange. I didn't buy it. It was $4,000 at the time, which the amount that I kick myself over this. It was $4,000. She bought it out. She was ready to sell it to me, and had it not been orange, I would have bought it. Do I regret not buying it now? Yeah. Even if it was orange, I could have had that on my shelf for 22 years and sold it at a massive profit and bought many other things. Do I regret not buying it? Yeah, I do. But it existed. You could walk in even to Hermes at that time and buy a bag. And admittedly it was the only bag she had. She didn't have any others, but it was still there. So that's how times have changed. And then we had the whole social media environment start, and it became very fast paced. You had access to information much more regularly than the once a month you were getting it in magazines, and we suddenly became very aware of the new releases and the collections. We had the rise of celebrities wearing these clothes, these bags. They had it, we wanted it, and then we moved to the influencer, and oh my goodness, is it everywhere now. So that then started the whole age of it's limited. It's going to be sold out. There are only so many pieces available. This is the collection you want. Isn't it amazing? You want this. Go and get it. And that then started the frenzy. And I also acknowledge that more people buy luxury now than they did 20 years ago. And more people bought luxury then than 20 years before that. It's how things progressed. So luxury is much more obtainable for a lot of people now. So obviously more people in the market. Their stores need to ramp up production, but can they meet the demand? Do they want to meet the demand? In some cases, they don't want to meet the demand because it breeds exclusivity if they can't meet the demand. So we then saw this whole shift, and with this shift came the feeling of needing to be on it if you wanted something. So even if you saw one bag on social media and it was your dream bag, there is a very good chance that you have to be all over it and actually do the legwork involved in getting that bag. The chances of you being able to walk in store and buy your dream bag are much more reduced than they were many years ago. That's not to say you can't do it. It will obviously depend heavily on what your dream bag is. If your dream bag is a Fendi baguette in like a black lambskin, then no worries. You can probably walk into any Fendi store at any time and buy your black Fendi baguette. No problems. But if your dream bag is a Chanel classic flap in the medium size in caviar, black caviar, no, you can't just walk into store and get that. You are probably going to have to do a fair bit of legwork for that. If your dream bag is a Birkin or a Kelly from Hermes, no, you're going to have to do some legwork. And I'm sure that there are going to be people in the comments and go, well, there's exceptions to the rule because I walked into Chanel and I got a classic flap, and I walked into Hermes in Paris and I got offered a bag. Yes, there are always exceptions to the rules. I understand that. But for the most part, you now have to actually do the legwork. There's a whole heap of hoops that you have to jump through to get things that you really love. So first and foremost, you generally have to build a relationship with a sales associate. I've just done a whole video on how to build relationships with sales associates. I'll link it down below for you. But having a relationship with a sales associate is generally your first step. You can walk into store and make contact with somebody and express to them what your dream bag is. Depending on which store it is will depend on your ability to secure that bag that day, or to just have the sales associate be aware of it and make contact with you when that bag comes in. Maybe you can order it. Maybe it's a bag that's coming in a season that's coming. Any way you look at it, you really need a relationship with a sales associate if you are hunting something very specific. So that's the first leg of needing to do some work. You need to build a relationship with a sales associate, or at the very least make contact with a store, make contact with client services. If it's online, yay, but even that's rare if it's a highly coveted bag. So that's the first thing you need to do. And then you need to possibly do more work in order to move your status to a point where you might be able to secure it if it's an elusive bag. So the classic flap from Chanel is a good example of that. Do they have classic flaps available? Sure. Are you just going to be given one if you ask for it in a Chanel store if you have never shopped there before? It's questionable. It depends on the store. It depends on their stock. In Sydney, no chance. It's not happening. So it also depends on the color and the finish that you want on it. And if this is your one dream bag, do not ever compromise on what you get. If it is a black caviar classic flap medium, then that is what you work towards. Don't take the lambskin because you're not going to love it as much. It's not going to be exactly what you wanted. Always buy exactly what you want. So you then have to follow this up. You have to make sure that the sales associate remembers that you want this. You have to regularly be showing your face. You possibly have to be buying stuff to continue to build a profile to get an elusive bag. It can feel like work sometimes. And then we add to that collections that are coming. So a collection walks the runway. So I'll take Pharrell Williams' debut collection for Louis Vuitton as a very good example of this. So his collection has just walked the runway. Resee then opens up like within a day of that, which is where you can order stuff direct from the runway if you have a relationship with a sales associate, and you've got a couple of days to decide what you want, pay your deposit, which this time around was 60%, and you're only given prices in the euro. I've done a whole video on how this process works. I'll link it in the description box down below. And then you wait 6 months to actually see those things come through. But if you're not aware at this point when it walks the runway, and it's a piece that is going to be incredibly limited, you might not get it on the other side when it actually comes out. So if it's your dream bag or a bag that you desperately want, if you're not on top of this process where it's walking the runway, I need to now be placing an order so I can get it, you might well miss out on it, and then you feel really sad on the other side because you desperately wanted that bag, but you didn't know that you were supposed to order it. You didn't know that you were supposed to talk to your sales associate. You didn't know you were supposed to do all this legwork 6 months ago to get this bag. Now it's been released, you can't get it anymore. It becomes really hard work. Like, I've got to be on top of this. And I know that I feel differently about this because I do have so many pieces and I am a collector, so I tend to collect pieces, but it still remains the same even if you only want a single piece. We are in an age of the journey. We're in the age of Chanel and their games and their constant price increases and making sure that if you want classic flaps, you can only get one a year, and we're only going to sell them to the people who buy the ready to wear, and oh my goodness, doing my head in. We're in an age of limited releases, which I find really ironic given the amount of collections that we see. Things are still limited release. So it's a double-edged sword. We've got so much stuff coming at us, but it's all so limited. So we've all got to be on top of it all the time. We're in an age of pre-orders. You have to pre-order everything. Although then with some houses we see you've got to pre-order and then they're just sitting there on the shelves. And I'll use Fendi as an example of that. They drive me nuts for that. You have to pre-order this. Why? I know as well as everybody else knows it's going to be out on the shelves when it comes out anyway. So why do I have to give you my money for 6 months before it arrives when I know it's just going to be sitting there? Case in point, this bag. I fought for that bag. I paid money for that bag. It came from the UK and I could have just got it in Sydney. Like, it's ridiculous. And then we are also in an age where we are constantly told, this is the last one, there's only one coming, you really need to order it, you really need to be on top of it, and they create this feeling of, if I don't do it, I'm going to miss out. And it all leads into feeling like we just have another job sometimes. And if you're only after 1 or 2 bags, or you only buy a couple of bags a year, it's not such a bad job because you only have to do it that many times, or maybe you only do it once. But nonetheless, it loses some of the luxury to it. Is it still luxury if you've had to fight so hard for it? Some people really love the fight, and that makes it even sweeter for them when they get what they want because they fought the fort and they won. And other people, it's just exhausting. So it depends on how you're built as to how you see the fight and how you see that hard work. But I question if luxury should really be this hard. And is it really luxury if it's become a whole job all on its own? So tell me what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that we have now reached this point in luxury where if you really want something specific, then you just accept you're really going to have to probably fight for it if it is a piece that lots of other people want as well, and that's just the way it is now? Or do you agree that it's really not as luxurious an experience when you have had to fight so hard for it? Do you enjoy the fight? Tell me what you think in the comments below, because I really feel like the pre-orders and the needing to be on top of it and the fighting desperately for that one elusive bag that you're so desperate to own, which might be the only luxury bag you ever own, really does take some of the shine off it sometimes, and it can really feel like a lesser experience because of that. Or maybe you just celebrate twice as much on the other side. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. It means a lot to a content creator when you hit that subscribe button. Please also hit the little bell notification so you know when I've uploaded videos, which is usually 3 times a week. I'll also throw up my Instagram handle for you so you can come follow me over there. I put lots up in real time, lots around my collection and my day-to-day life, so please come follow me there. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you are having a fabulous day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.